Alice.
And I'm Greg.
And we want to thank you for answering our call to comment.
Thanks for submitting some thoughtful questions about topics that you'd like us to cover in future videos. And today we'd like to answer some of your questions that we can answer simply.
Yeah, and actually some of the stuff that you guys came up with was really exciting. Like we decided, oh, we have to make a video about that. We have to go. We know of certain places that immediately popped up in our head, like Biblioteca Vasconcelos, and then some of you brought up different places that we've never even heard of. And so thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us.
And thank you for bringing up such interesting topics. Some of them are very close to our own passions. Feminism and activism are definitely two topics that we hope to explore more of. So let's jump right in and take a look at some of your questions. So we have a question from Amber Bales, who is thinking about coming to Ciudad Mexico, but she did have a few questions. One, how easy or difficult would it be to visit Ciudad de Mexico if you only know a little bit of Spanish? Alice?
I think there are certain parts of Mexico City where you'll find a lot of English speakers. We call it the bubble. That is very densely expat populated sections of the city. For example, Roma Norte and Condesa, where a lot of people speak English, and you don't really have to know too much Spanish to be able to get along easily. However, I think if you want to explore more and get to know how the locals live and, just to feel more at ease, I really would recommend that you learn a little bit of Spanish. Also, it just seems polite to be able to ask for directions or ask for help in someone's own language since you're visiting that country. Greg and I are not sponsored by, but we both take Duolingo very seriously.
So Amber had another question. We're excited to learn that there are so many vegan restaurants. What neighborhood would you recommend staying in order to eat at all the best vegan spots? Roma.
I think there's vegan restaurants all over Mexico City, and you can find food that's really good quality wherever you are. But I do agree with Greg. I think there are more vegan restaurants in Roma Norte.
For sure. This is another question. This one came from Rockin' Vida. Hope all is well with you both. Perhaps these are topics for a separate YouTube channel, but many of us longtime Alice Bag Band fans would love to hear some stories and recollections about your days fronting the Bags and the LA punk scene in '77.
Well, for those of you who just follow this channel because you're interested in Mexico City and Greg, you probably don't know that we have this whole other background, and we have people who are interested in what we used to do and still do to a certain extent. But I was in a punk band in the 70s called the Bags. We wore paper bags on our heads, and there are a lot of stories from those early punk days, but I really feel like I am living in the present. I'm living here in Mexico City. I'm really excited about this new life I have. So this particular channel, I really hope to dedicate to our experiences here, what we're learning about our background, about our culture. What about you, Greg?
I think if you want to read about the old punk scene, there are a lot of books now and told from many different points of view, but the essence of the punk scene was to kind of be fearless and try new things, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So
yeah, we are living punk in our retirement years. So if you want to see how that's done, stick with us.
So Savannah has a question, and she says she'd like to know more about the punk scene or music scene in general in Mexico City. For example, are there many rock bands fronted by females? And yes, that's the answer to that, I think.
Yes, and I recommend that you watch our video on La Marqueta. Now Girls Rule, which is an organization that was spearheaded by Alice Paprika, puts together an event called La Marqueta, where women who are in rock bands are encouraged to go and sell not only their band merch, but maybe also just creative things that they've made, zines, clothing, plants. They sell everything,
Art.
and art, visual art, and they also are encouraged to. They set up a stage, and the different people that are selling are encouraged to go up and do a few songs, and it's kind of an interesting community building event. I think of it not really as like a performance showcase, but more as a cooperative sort of like, watch my merch table while I get up and perform, and you watch your friend up on stage and you clap for them, and then they come back and you go on. It's just such a cool feeling, and it really does remind me of the way things were in the early punk scene in LA, where one minute you'd be like at the front of the stage watching the band, and the next minute you would be the band. So yeah, it's a really vibrant scene. There's a lot of strong feminist women that are spearheading this particular wave of female-fronted punk here in Mexico City.
Yeah, what she said. So I would say, I'll just throw in one other recommendation for a resource is Band 66 has a channel, but it is also curated to feature female-led rock bands. So that's a really good resource. Band 66, Per Bats Burp Arts Le Burp, has a question. Anything on the Baroque and particularly Mexican Ultrabaroque architecture, art, and music? Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, the Biblioteca Vasconcelos, which we mentioned earlier. So yes,
we're definitely going to take you to the Biblioteca Vasconcelos, and there are some examples of Baroque architecture around here. Yeah. So we will make a point of getting out to them. It might not be right away because there's a long list of things here that we want to get to, but we're going to write all this stuff down.
Yeah,
so
if you're into architecture, Mexico City is one of the world's great destinations for architecture. MMOCPI has a comment that says, I have realized through watching the channel that Mexico is a civilized and peaceful country. I've been fed a lot by American media about drug wars, journalist killings, poverty, etc., but I have not seen much of the good stuff until now. So thanks very much for this. You're very welcome. I especially love hearing about the arts and feminist and revolutionary art. I would like to know more about the education system for the youth through college and the medical system, such as how much citizens have to pay for it and what they get. So there's a lot.
So that is probably, those are probably two separate videos, maybe one on education and one on medicine. And with that medicine one, we'd probably do something about insurance because a lot of you have questions about that. But I do have cousins in different levels, that teach university, elementary school, adult school, different types of education. So I will do my best to get their cooperation and interview them for a future video.
And yes, I think one thing I do want to say about the perception of Mexico, if you're coming from another place, I know when we moved to Mexico, one of the constant refrains I heard was, be safe, or do you feel safe moving to Mexico City? And I don't know if you got that, but I definitely got it. You didn't get it, I'm sure.
I didn't get it because my friends are punks.
I worked in a fairly conservative industry, and so people had heard the stories, I guess, and obviously Mexico has a bad reputation in American media. I want to say Mexico is not a perfect country by a long shot. I don't think any country is perfect, but I do feel like Mexico has many, many wonderful things to recommend it, and I have not felt unsafe for a single day since we've been here.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if you use common sense, just as you would in any major city, and
right, I think that's the key. If you are in Mexico City and you've never been in a big city, then you might have, there's a learning curve, right? You don't, just leave your bag at the table while you go to the bathroom or something. I don't know what it's like in a small town, but I know that people tend to be more trusting in a small town, and in bigger cities we know that you don't know everyone around you, so you have to exercise caution. I think we exercise caution naturally because we grew up in a big city and we've traveled to a lot of big cities. Mexico is no more dangerous than Los Angeles or New York or Chicago. And if you think those places are dangerous, then then exercise caution.
Hadi Tawari says, maybe some deeper dives on the historic sites like El Templo Mayor, Teotihuacan, etc. This could be part of a multi-part YouTube series.
Oh yeah, we love doing deep dives. We hope that you like coming along with us. I think sometimes we worry, like, are we going to lose them because we're going too deep?
I think the thing that scares me and excites me about this topic is something like Templo Mayor or Teotihuacan. The history is so dense and so complicated that it could easily be a multi-part series.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So if you guys want to see that, let us know, because we would be happy to research it. Part of it for us is just like we just want to know more about our heritage, so we don't mind doing the research if you're willing to sit through it.
It's really fun for us. We're both naturally drawn to history and learning new things, and this is part of our culture, and we're just dying to know more about it. So thank you again for the suggestion. Let's see. Okay, K9 Tech on Instagram said, would be interested to see you visit Isla de las Muñecas in Xochimilco.
Yeah, Isla de las Muñecas is a very interesting place. We've been there a few times already, and we probably will go. It's not something that we'll do right away. We'll probably wait until there's a friend in town or somebody who wants to go with us who hasn't been there before. But if you like that, we'll have some scary stories to go along with that. Xochimilco is a fun and interesting place.
That's my
That's his area of specialty.
That's my area of expertise.
But you're not the only one that likes ghosts and legends.
Good. All right. Let's see. Okay, Maria McKee. Hello, Maria McKee. Super excited to have you on our Instagram channel. She says that she has danced flamenco since she was 3. Can you imagine Maria McKee dancing flamenco? And
yeah, I actually can.
Wow. She would love to hear about the flamenco community in Mexico City.
So we will research that. I hadn't even thought of that there would be a flamenco.
It makes sense that there would be, but we haven't encountered it yet. So, but we will look.
Yeah, definitely.
She also says she would love to hear about the LGBTQ community and gender nonconforming community and activism. And yes, those are communities that are sort of intertwined with arts and culture communities that we are drawn to also. So I think that's an easy assignment. That's a natural
for us.
fit for us. So thank you. That's pretty good. Michael Scott has a question. He said, have you visited El Mercado Sonora or the antique market just outside Tepito?
The antique market is La Lagunilla, I believe. If that's the one you're referring to. We have, and we did make a video. We'll link it down below. Right. We did wander into Tepito for a little bit. And again, we didn't really feel threatened or scared or anything like that. So we just want to stress that if you are worried about certain parts of Mexico City being more dangerous or not as tourist friendly, then just be mindful about that. Do it in the day, do it with a group, do it in a situation where you feel as safe as you can. Don't wear flashy jewelry, not that, we've never had any issues, really.
Okay. El Mercado Sonora. We've heard about this. I believe this is the witchcraft or Brujeria Mercado. It has been recommended to us by a couple of locals. We haven't been yet, but it's you have to go with the right person. So we will.
We think we know the right person.
We know the right person. So we'll go. It's one of those places also that we've been told that they do not allow you to film. So that might be challenging for us to create a video on that, but we'll do our best. Let's see. Next. Okay, Aaron with a double A has a question about sports, and he said, what do you think about soccer in Mexico? And are you curious about the sports teams there or any of the rivalries. And
Well, I am not really a huge sports fan. I'm a Dodger fan, but that's more of a cultural thing than a sports thing. I enjoy going to sporting events so that I can eat the hot dogs and drink the beer and buy the kulakus or UFOs, whatever. Like, I'm just there to eat. And if my friends, whoever I go with, happens to like endorse a team, then I will probably just endorse that team as well. But yeah, I am definitely interested. I know that it's a huge thing here, and it also does reflect like some teams seem to be more associated with working class communities, and others seem to be more like aspirational middle class,
I like that
upper
term.
class.
Yeah. They're tied up with class distinctions here, and it is very, very competitive. People are passionate about their sports teams, so we will probably do a video on it, but we're not sports fans.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive us if we're all like sidetracked by like the colors and the food and the smells.
Yeah. Given the choice between going to a museum or a sports game, it's no contest for us.
Yeah,
so
not for us.
Sorry guys. Okay. Let's see. Okay, last question.
For today.
So many corgis.
And so many border collies here in Coyoacan.
Yes, border collies are the official dog of Coyoacan. They've replaced the coyotes that it's named for.
At least that's what it seems like, because they are
everywhere.
Omnipresent.
Yeah. So many corgis. Thanks for your question. Has visited Mexico.
I thought
City.
They were commenting that there were a lot of corgis.
No, their name is.
Okay, sorry.
And she said, I visited Mexico City twice now and absolutely love it. For such a vast city, though, it feels like tourists and expats are mainly funneled to just a handful of areas. And we'll list them here. Roma, Condesa, Polanco, Coyoacan, Centro Histórico, Juárez, La Zona Rosa, and Chapultepec Park. And while all of these are lovely, they sometimes feel a bit like Gringolandia, which is
I don't think Coyoacan fits that. Just from my personal experience living here,
biased.
I am biased. Yes, it is a touristy area, and there is one particular block where it's Frida Kahlo's house that draws a lot of people from other countries, and that particular little corner feels like Gringolandia every day between like 10 and 6. But the rest of Coyoacan, sadly, or perhaps not, people don't really bother to explore. They might go to the Mercado and buy some handicrafts, buy some artesanías, but they don't really walk around Coyoacan and experience the city or experience the colonia as a local would. So I would say that that's different from, say, Roma or Condesa or even Polanco, which all kind of attract different types of people too.
For sure.
But that is what we consider the bubble, which is where businesses and restaurants really just cater more towards
well, I mean, let's just be call it what it is
we want to thank you for answering our call to comments. And one of the things that we want you to know is that even though we're not going to get to all your questions right now, we'll do our best to hit a few, and then we will answer some of those when we make future videos based on some of the recommendations you made. You made great recommendations. Some of those places we've heard of, some we're going to have to look up and research, but they all sound exciting to us. So thank you again. We will do our best to get to everything.
And if we didn't answer your question, we apologize in advance. We may be saving it for a future video, but rest assured that we appreciate every one of your comments.
We did read every single comment, and we did think about like which ones we could make videos about right away, which ones we'd have to research a little bit more, but we are not getting to all of them. We definitely will. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.